Saudi Arabia donates food items to Kebbi State for COVID-19 pandemic. The spotlight is on enhancing the fight against COVID-19 through effective scientific research.
Now, this news is streaming live on radionigeria.gov.ng. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Radio Nigeria HQ and on Facebook at facebook.com/Radio Nigeria Network. Now, the news in detail. The spotlight is on enhancing the fight against COVID-19 through effective scientific research. It is written by Dr. Rose Gidado.
The coronavirus pandemic is one of the worst crises in recent times. Over 1.7 million people have been infected, with over 100,000 deaths. The crisis has thrown even the most advanced countries into chaos, hit the global economy hard, and equally led to the global suspension of many activities including sports, lockdown of cities, quarantining of even the most influential people, including top government officials across the world, and recently the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. As a result, majority of developed countries are depending on scientific advice in designing their policies to slow the transmission of COVID-19 so as not to crash their health systems. While countries continue to use measures to flatten the curve, the world is earnestly watching and waiting for scientists to develop vaccines or drugs to halt this pandemic. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, scientists are undervalued. According to a Nigerian scientist, educator and researcher, Dr. Muhammad Bukar Maina, there is a high level of misconceptions about the role of scientists. Often, people confuse scientists with medical practitioners. While both can be the same in some cases, they, however, play different roles in most situations. If there is one lesson that the entire globe ought to learn from the COVID-19 pandemic, it is the need to invest in scientific research. In the current fight against COVID-19, one of the key strategies recommended by the World Health Organization (WHO) is to test as many individuals as possible. The reason for doing this is to identify, isolate, and trace people with the disease and arrange for them to receive the care needed, thereby reducing the spread of the virus. Testing will not stop the spread of the virus, but it will enable countries to contain its spread and therefore reduce a sudden impact on the health system that can result from an increase in the number of infected individuals at once. The strategy will enable the health system to continue to provide support before an effective vaccine or a drug is produced through scientific research. This emphasizes the importance of scientific research. COVID-19 vaccines are currently being developed in many countries. None is happening in sub-Saharan Africa. Perhaps this is because the continent is expecting the scientists from the developed West to produce the vaccine. In times of crisis, people have a tendency to look out for themselves first. Last month, President Trump unsuccessfully offered a large sum for exclusive U.S. access to COVID-19 vaccine that is currently being developed by a German medical company. Recently, he stopped a U.S. manufacturing company from sending respirators to Canada. These examples should serve as a signal that there is need to upgrade the nation's science capabilities, as help might not always come from the developed nations. Even if COVID-19 vaccines and drugs are eventually developed and become available across the globe, there are still other problems that are peculiar to Nigeria, such as Lassa fever and malaria. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of scientists across the world are volunteering their time to help defeat the virus, for example, by increasing COVID-19 testing capacities. In Germany, 500,000 PCRs per week are conducted to test individuals for COVID-19. Unfortunately, the trying times have brought about widespread science misconceptions and misinformation, such as conspiracy theories, herbal cures, and denial of existence. A few Nigerian scientists have fueled this confusion by claiming they have developed a cure for COVID-19 without presenting their scientific evidence. This is unprofessional, as scientific discoveries ought to be announced first through scientific publications and not to the media. Just as scientists, in the words of the Director General of the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, Professor Alice Agba, had labored under laboratory conditions for years to proffer solutions for the advancement of biotechnology. This underscores the fact that there is need for increased awareness and better attention on scientific research, as diseases will continue to attack. But scientists constitute an integral part of preparation and defense against such attacks.
That spotlight on enhancing the fight against COVID-19 through effective scientific research was written by Dr. Rose Gidado and presented by Noura Mohammed.
Well, to end the news, here is a recap of major stories. The Oyo State government is to test at least 10,000 residents for COVID-19 to have a scientific modeling on preventing the spread of the disease. The Archbishop, Metropolitan and Primate Church of Nigeria, Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, has urged leaders and followers to show remorse to God for salvation from COVID-19. Some domestic airlines who suspended flight operations for 2 weeks due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown directive have extended the suspension. We also reported that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, through Muslim World League, has donated food items and safety equipment to Kebbi State as relief to vulnerable persons and protection of health personnel against the COVID-19 pandemic.
And that's the news as edited by Teso Zabe and the production team. My name is Tese Mzuga. Thank you for listening.
Enjoy the rest of the Easter. I am Joy Marker.